All right, hey, what's going on, everybody? This is June, Double International Marketing Director, $1 Million Earner. Here just to talk to you guys a little bit about cold market prospecting. I had some questions about that this morning, and I guess I'm going to make more of a habit of recording some videos and putting up the trainings here for you guys to use and apply and to share. So here's the deal. Something that I like to do, which is kind of I guess unique to me because I've never heard anybody else do it, is that when I want to understand something, whether it's a term or a word or an approach or a strategy, I usually look up the words, okay? So when I look up the word cold, hold on one moment. All right, so we're talking about cold market prospecting, right? And when I look up the word cold, right, it says lacking warmth or affection or familiarity, okay? That's the definition. That's one of the definitions for cold that comes up, okay? So, what is the task at hand, all right? So the first thing you want to realize is that when you're cold market prospecting, quote unquote, the first thing you're trying to go is go from cold to warm, right? Now, how do you go from cold to warm? A lot of us are just naturally, people persons. The first person I think about is J-A-O-N. J-A-O-N is probably the most likable person I've ever met in my life. And for him to turn a cold market prospect into a warm market prospect, I would say it's just as simple as saying hello. A lot of the times we make it so much more complicated because we think that there's some sort of tactic or, secret way to approach cold market when it's really sometimes just as easy as saying hello and making a connection. Remember, cold market prospecting is really just about meeting somebody new and being able to turn that person from a stranger to someone who's much more familiar within a short period of time, okay? Some of the things that I'll do when I meet somebody is, I'll mention the FORM acronym, right? Family, occupation, relationship, and message. So a lot of the times when I'm talking to somebody, I might start off talking about, family values. I'll talk about occupation. A lot of the times I'll ask somebody, what do you do for a living? And they'll tell me, Side note, when people ask me, what do I do for a living? I tell them travel and residual income. That's really what I just tell them now. What do you do for a living? Man, I travel and I make passive income from it, from sharing it. And a lot of the times that piques somebody's interest. And I know for a lot of you guys out there right now, it may sound like it's, stupid simple, but I guess that's what most of the business is. It's stupid simple. It's super duper simple. And, that's something that I've been using recently, especially, when people ask me, what do you do, man? I take 5-star vacations, man, and I make a passive income from it, relationship, meaning, how did you guys meet? What were the circumstances? A lot of the people that I meet, I'll meet them, at the mall, at a restaurant, at a car event. I like cars, so that's my thing. So I'm always at car events. And then message being the last thing is, how can you add value to this person? How can you, how can you bring value to this person, right? So maybe we're having a talk and they're like, oh, well, I'm like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I work on Starbucks. Oh, how do you like it? Oh, it's all right, whatever. So boom, in my head, I'm like, okay, cool. He's not too crazy about Starbucks. Maybe I can offer him a way where he can make some supplemental income, right? Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a doctor, right? Maybe this person, I'm like, oh, that's dope, man. You're a doctor. That's awesome. He goes, yeah, man, but I don't got no time for anything, So I'm all right, cool. So I can bring him something that can, help him with some time, something. You can always find out something where you can help during a conversation, okay? So just going back to cold market prospecting, cold, right? The first task is you want to go from cold to warm. So figure out the conversation that you're going to have with somebody when you meet them. Smile, man. Smile. Joke around. Have these little icebreakers. One of the things that I, have me personally as an icebreaker is a lot of the times I'll ask people, I'm like, where are you from? And Claudia will be like, oh, I'm from Philly. I'm like, for real? Me too. And they'll be like, for real? I'm like, nah, I'm just kidding, man. And then we kind of joke around from there. I've done that with people that are from, Africa. I've done that with people that are from Israel. I've done that with people that are from Singapore. Hey, where you from? Singapore. Oh, me too. And they'll look at me like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, nah, I'm just playing, man. Sometimes somebody will be like, oh, where you from? And I'm like, I'm from, Egypt. And they're like, Egypt? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what part of Egypt? The capital. All right. And they're like, the capital? I'm like, yeah. What's the capital? In the middle, all right? It's Cairo, but I'll just say something silly or whatever if I don't know the capital or whatever. So I just find ways to joke around and to warm up, because that's what you're really trying to do. You're trying to go from cold to warm, okay? Be a normal person, don't be too weird. The number one thing that you want to do is just get around as many people as you can. One of the things that I practice doing is just being around people, just being around people, just meeting people in person. Social media is cool, but social media gets weird sometimes because people are not actually all the time who they say they are on the internet versus who they are in person, right? So you kind of want to do your best to like be around people, whether it's at the gym or at the gas station or at the mall or, wherever it is that you can just get around people and be close enough to say hello or, smile or greet, some situation where you can be in a social environment and just say hello, okay? A lot of the times when I meet somebody in person, one of the first things I do is I add them on Instagram or on Facebook. Usually I do that because I don't like exchanging phone numbers for a number of reasons. Number one, phone numbers for me, they get lost. I don't really pay attention to like numbers and stuff like that. They're in my phone. Plus I can't put a face to a phone number, so a lot of the times I'll forget who the contact was. Social media is easier for me to kind of get an insight on who this person is, what their interests are, and likewise for them. They can kind of see what it is that I'm interested in and what my life is like and what I do, and we can kind of like meet in the middle there. Also, it's just easier to reach out to somebody via DM than it is, via text message or a phone call, especially when it's like male on female. Sometimes females will feel like you're trying to hit on them, or a male will feel like you're trying to hit on him, or whatever it may be. Body language is important in those occasions too. You don't want to be, come off as a flirt too much, or you don't want to give somebody the wrong idea. You want to be, as friendly, but as wholesome as possible too, okay? So here's some tips, okay? One, get around people. You know what I mean? Get around people. You don't have to necessarily go join any sort of like social club. Sometimes you just want to be around people in a regular situation, at the mall. One of the things that I ask people all the time when I go to the mall or when I go to Starbucks, I go to, wherever it is that I might go, I ask somebody like, is this all you do? Do you do anything else? And they'll ask, oh, no, this is all I do. Why? Why do you ask? I'm like, oh, no, because I do marketing and I think that you'd be good at what I do, and they'll be like, oh, really? And I'll be like, yeah. They're like, you have a business card? Nah, man, I don't have a business card. They're like, why? I'm like, I don't like business cards because it makes me feel like I got a job, all right? And what I do is more of a calling than it is a job, right? Do you have a Facebook? Do you have an Instagram? Stuff like that? Yeah, all right, cool. Add it on Facebook and Instagram. Within 12 to 24 hours, I'm already reaching out to them and sitting down with them with coffee or inviting them to a travel party, okay? What else? You want to kind of get loose too, man. I mean, as far as just, saying hello to people. Sometimes, Jay Peso will see me when I'm in my zone. And when I'm in the zone, man, I'm saying hi to anybody who's within 3 feet of me. Why? Because I want to kind of open up the vibrations to the universe, to just kind of like open up the door and say, hey, I'm open to meeting somebody new today. I'm open to meeting a new contact. I'm open to making a new friend today. Just send them my way, and I'll be here ready and willing and able to, to welcome them, So you guys, not you guys, but like the people who are close to me, you guys will see, like I'll be in the zone. And, to give you guys some side note too, naturally I'm an introvert. That's not an excuse. It's just a part of who I am. Like naturally I'm an introverted person, meaning introvert means that I enjoy spending time alone. I like spending time, in solidarity. Like you can tell the difference between an introvert and an extrovert like this, right? So if you've had a long day or you've had a long week and today is Friday, an extrovert is going to go to a bar or to a club or somewhere where you can just be around people and, and have fun and kind of like express themselves, right? An introvert is going to go home and pull up Netflix and watch a movie, okay? So that's like the biggest difference between an introvert and an extrovert. Extroverts, they relax, or they stress relief, I guess, by being around people and being around social situations. They love parties. They love being the center of attentions. Introverts are kind of the opposite of that. Like introverts recharge from, possibly meditating, things like yoga, movies, long drives, things of that sort, right? So The thing about being an introvert is you got to come out of your shell sometimes, and you got to get around people, and you got to be willing to talk to people. A lot of us that are introverts, a lot of the times we're more effective than some of the extroverts, because when we are communicating, we communicate with a purpose, right? Versus communicating just for the heck of it, like a lot of extroverts do. So, there's no good, there's no bad. There's positive, and there's pros and cons for everything. Just figure out how to play more of your pros versus the cons. Okay, couple more strategies, right? So be direct, and be quick. A lot of the times, I've heard this in the past, right? You guys are going to make more money with people that you don't know, people that are strangers, than you would make with people that you've known your whole life. I found that to be true. However, you have to show everybody that you know, because it's sort of like an emotional and mental block inside of your head if you're trying to prospect people that are strangers and you haven't even shown everybody that you know. It's almost as if you're ashamed of what you're doing, or you're embarrassed, or you're afraid. And so a way to let go of all those emotions is by literally showing everyone that you love, everyone that you care about, everyone that may have some sort of influence or weigh in on your life. You want to show them as humanly fast as possible, okay? Now, whether those people engage or they don't engage, none of your business, right? If they do engage, it's an awesome, beautiful thing. If they don't engage, it's also an awesome, beautiful thing, because now you have an audience of people to go prove that you are worthy and that you are willing and that you are going to go out there and do what you said you were going to go do. In both scenarios, it's also an emotional boost. It's also a spiritual it's just something. It's a feeling that's inexplainable, and you have to do it before you start talking to cold market. I've met so many people, man, that they get started in this thing and they want to immediately go to cold market and just talk to cold market, and that's fine. Some people have success that way, but the majority of people who go straight to cold market before going to warm market don't have the kind of success that the IMDs that are here today do. Okay, so those are my tips, guys. I hope that you guys caught some value from that. I'll give you guys a couple more things to say when you meet somebody. When people, like for me, when I was a hotel manager and people would ask me what do I do when I was doing this part-time, I would say I'm a hotel manager, and on the side I get paid to go travel. And people will be like, what does that mean? Oh, well, let me show you. Step into my office. Tomorrow, we'll do a training tomorrow morning. I'm working on the Zoom right now, because I know that we had a Zoom that was being able to plug into the live videos on Facebook. But for some reason, they took that feature away. But last night, as I was messing around with Zoom, I found a way that I can possibly connect it on the webinar side versus on the meeting side versus the webinar side. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that. I want to have some special guests on the webinar stream tomorrow morning, and I'll send you guys the info shortly. All right, so if you guys see me messing around with Facebook Live today, I'm probably just going to be testing it a little bit here and there to just make sure that it works and that it goes through and that it is going to operate the way that I want it to operate. And I'll keep these videos coming. All right, so for those of you guys who came on late, replay it, go back to the beginning, check it out. I'm talking about cold market prospecting. Oh, hold on, let me go back. I didn't give you guys definition of market. Market is, the definition of market is, all right, cool. So just quick two things, right? So the definition of cold is, low in affection and so on, right? Stranger, unfamiliar, things of that sort. And your job is to, change that from unfamiliar to familiar, from stranger to friend, and that's the first portion of cold market prospecting, right? Market is, a gathering of people, a field of people. When you look at the market, what you're trying to say is, the amount of people that are out in the world, right? The majority of you guys live in big cities where you have a huge opportunity in market, right? You live in New York City, you live in Florida, you don't live in like Kansas where the market of people there is 2,000 people population, right? There's a 2,000 person population in, Wichita, Kansas, or whatever it is that you may live at, right? If you live in New York, you have access to 20 million people, okay? You have access to 20 million people. I think it's 26 million people last time I checked. If you're in Florida, same numbers, like 27, 28 million people that you have access to. And that is the size of your local market, okay? The world market, it's like 7 billion people or whatever the number is. And fun fact, right? out of the 7 billion people on the planet, it's either 3 or 4 billion of them don't even have internet access yet. All right. So if you guys feel that everybody's seen it or everybody around you knows about it, it's not true. You're lying. You're doing this thing to, trip yourself up, and you got to quickly shake that out of your head and know that the market share out there is huge and it is yours for the taking. Okay. The last word in cold market prospecting is the word prospecting. If you guys look up the definition of the word prospecting, it means to look for, to search, right? It's like an egg hunt. What are you doing? You're searching for the next superstar. I'm a really green person, and a couple of months ago, I actually went into my back office and I looked at the international marketing directors, right? It says that the average international marketing director, the amount of people who hit international marketing director is 0.0001% of people who join the company, right? And so I asked myself, I'm like, all right, so if I hit the IMD 2 times, right, that means that 0.0005% of people are going to do what I've done. I'm running my third center now, so it means that there's a small amount of people that are going to do that. And so here's what I did. I did this. I said, okay, if everybody on the planet joined World Ventures today, which is impossible, right? And especially knowing that every day somebody turns 18, right? If everybody on the planet joined World Ventures right now, this very moment, how many of them, statistically speaking, are going to go double IMD, right? $1 million earner. And when I looked at the number, it was somewhere around I think 200,000 or something like that, right? Which in my head, it gave me this. I said, all right, well, if I'm going to go find these people, if there's 200,000 people out there plus that are going to be able to do exactly what I've done in the fashion that I've done it, just statistically speaking, right? Just from a numbers perspective, just from that, there's 200,000 plus. The number could be 200 million. I could have been wrong on numbers, right? But let's say it's 200,000, the number that I came up with. Then my job is just to go out there and find them, right? And if I'm in a city where I have a huge market like Florida, like New York, like Chicago, like Atlanta, if I'm in one of these cities, I'm more than likely going to have multiple people in those cities who can do what I've done, right? Mark Arcetta told me a long time ago, he says, if you're able to sign up everyone who lives on your street, you'll be rich beyond your dreams. And it's so crazy because I've never signed up a neighbor on the block that I lived on to the best of my knowledge, okay? So there's a lot of truth to that. And, it just gives you guys some perspective, all right? So just going back to cold market prospecting, this is really what this audio was about. This is really what this video was about. It's just giving you guys some perspective on how to approach cold market, basically what your mindset should be when you're talking to cold market, where to place yourself in order to see more cold market and have larger opportunities at making contact with cold market, and some of the things that you want to say, all right? So all in all, guys, just be normal people, be good people with above average missions and purpose, okay? So that's all we do out here, man. That's how we succeed. I think that something that I've told people before, man, is just the reason why I believe that people like us who come from, our I guess average environment and, backgrounds, is that we're able to connect with the grand majority of people, okay? We're able to talk to the most amount of people and relate to them in ways that a lot of other people can't, based off of their circumstances and how they were raised or what city they're from and things of that sort. Guys, I'm from New York. If I go to, Russia, people know that I'm from New York. They know where New York is, So I think that we're all in a special situation where we can go out there and, own this network marketing game. We're in a position where we can go out there and be the top producers in network marketing, period. And we've got the best company and the best comp plan and the best product in our hands. So with that said, I hope you guys got some good value from that. Lock and load. I'm going to take this video and post it up on YouTube too, so you guys can share it with whoever you want to share it with that may not be in this group. All right. So let's go rock and roll.